Peace, 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 peace. People, we are made for peace. Love each other as ourselves, for we are one. Peace, 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 peace. People, we are made for peace. Love each other as ourselves, for we are one. Peace, 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 peace. Peace, 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 peace. Love each other as ourselves, for we are one. Peace, peace, make for peace. We are made for peace. Love each other as ourselves, for we are one. Peace, 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 peace. Love, we are made for peace.
Now, thank you for being so patient and for coming here to the Capitol to see me and others about your deep concerns and for dressing so well. Really, I mean, bringing those, I like pink tulips around this time of the year. It kind of reminds you that there may be a spring. Well, you guys look like a big bunch of pink tulips to me. And I deeply respect your concerns. Obviously, I disagreed on an aspect of those concerns, but I very much respect not only your willingness to come here, but your organizing and you're trying to convey, the emotional and intellectual arguments that we have mustered. So let me stop here, and I don't have a lot of time because I have some other things on my schedule that I have to get back to, but let me just stop here, and I don't know if you have a spokesperson or if there's someone who wishes to speak. Yes?
Hi, first I just want to thank you very much for taking the time to meet us.
Yeah.
My name is Lydia Benjamin, this is Jody Evans. We are, as you can see, a group that is called Blue Pink. We have been standing up front of the White House since November 17th every day, and this is a cold winter. And we've been trying to meet with President Bush, with Laura Bush. We've been turned down every day for the last 4 months, and that's why we really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. And some of us went on a Pink delegation to Baghdad. We just returned from there, and our hearts just went out to the Iraqi women who came up to us in the streets and said, "Why is Bush doing this? Please do something to stop this war." And we also had a chance to meet with the inspectors, and privately, the inspector said to us that they felt that they were getting tremendous cooperation from the Iraqi government, certainly compared to a place like North Korea where they've been thrown out, and that they felt that the inspections take time. It takes a year, it takes 2 years, and that there was no reason to go to war. And we all feel like we represent millions and millions of women in this country. Many of us, how many of us are mothers here? We've got a number of people who are grandmothers here. We know from our travels around the world that the United States lost all this sympathy we had after September 11th by this drumbeat for war. And that anti-American feeling is going to reverberate against us negatively. And that if we go to war in Iraq, we are putting our own children in jeopardy. We're putting our families in jeopardy. And that's why we decided to organize as women. So it's both because we care deeply about the Iraqi women and children, and we know you have talked about it takes a village to raise a child. We know it takes a bomb to destroy a village. And we've seen that around the world. We don't want to see that again. So we want you to help us protect the Iraqi children, the Iraqi women, and we want you to help us protect our children. And you also know much better than we do that every state in this nation is suffering from deficits right now. We know we need that money to go to child care, to go to health care, to fighting things like AIDS around the world. And we don't think that we can afford to spend billions of dollars on killing people in Iraq. So we know that you're a wonderful woman, and that deep down we really think you agree with us. One last thing I just want to say is we wanted to dramatize that there's two ways to go. One is that we as women have two messages that we've been going around today to speak with congressmen and senators about. And we said that we want to give all of them a pink badge of courage. And we've given out a number of them today to both senators and congresspeople. It's a Code Pink badge of courage, and it says on the back, "For listening to the people and preserving American values." We would love to give one of these to you instead of giving a pink slip. And, the choice is yours.
I admire your willingness to speak out on behalf of the women and children of Iraq. There is a very easy way to prevent anyone from being put into harm's way, and that is for Saddam Hussein to disarm. And I have absolutely no belief that he will. I have to say that this is something I have followed for more than a decade. If he were serious about disarming, he would have been much more forthcoming. There may be progress, we may be destroying the Samud missiles, but there is no accounting for the chemical and biological stocks. And I just respectfully disagree about what the proximate cause of any action that might be taken is. Now, I also believe that for now nearly 20 years, the principal reason why women and children in Iraq have suffered is because of his leadership. His not only tyrannical and dictatorial leadership, but his reign of terror against women and children. And it is a very unfortunate situation for the Iraqi people that they have been so horribly misgoverned for so long. Now, I do think that there are continuing discussions ongoing that I hope can make some further progress building on the success of the missile destruction program, because that really has been the first real compliance, and it was only brought about when the inspectors discovered the missiles. They were not revealed, that their length was longer than what had been prescribed under the resolutions ending the Gulf War. And the very difficult question for all of us is, how does one bring about the disarmament of someone with such a proven track record of a commitment, if not an obsession, with weapons of mass destruction? And I ended up voting for the resolution after carefully reviewing the information and intelligence that I had available, talking with people whose opinions I trusted, trying to discount political or other factors that I didn't believe should be in any way a part of this decision. And it is unfortunate that we are at the point of a potential military action to enforce the resolution. That is not my preference. It would be far preferable if we not only had legitimate cooperation from Saddam Hussein and a willingness on his part to disarm and to account for his chemical and biological storehouses, but that if we had a much broader alliance and coalition. But we are in a very difficult position right now. And so I would love to agree with you, but I can't based on my own understanding and assessment of the situation.
We are outraged over what's happening. Our members, I speak for 500,000 members now. With all due respect, it is not the United States. It's not up to this government to disarm Saddam Hussein. It's up to the community of nations. And in our opinion, no case for this war. There's no connection with terrorism, as far as we can tell. The cost of lives, not only of the Iraqi people, the U.S. people, most of whom in the trenches are going to be people of color, men and women of color. The effect on a bankrupt economy is going to take resources away. It's going to have devastating effect on an economy that is already in the toilet. And that affects mostly women and children. We are on a reckless course, and our members and our supporters plead with you to speak out against this reckless president, his economy, and his economic policies that are hurting people here, and now is dividing the world over this issue.
Well, I have spoken out on both of those issues. Those are issues on which I feel very strongly. And I think that from my perspective, we have to take them, one at a time. And let me just answer. No, I'm sorry. I came to tell you what I believe, and this has been an extremely difficult decision for me, and I will tell you what I believe. But I can only do that, and I respect your right to disagree. With respect to whose responsibility it is to disarm Saddam Hussein, I just do not believe that, given the attitudes of many people in the world community today, that there would be a willingness to take on very difficult problems were it not for the United States leadership. And I'm talking specifically about what had to be done in Bosnia and Kosovo, where my husband could not get a Security Council resolution to save the Kosovar Albanians from ethnic cleansing. And we did it alone as the United States, and we had to do it alone. It would have been far preferable if the Russians and others had agreed to do it to the United Nations. They would not. I'm happy that in the face of such horrible suffering, we did act. And so I see it somewhat differently. You'll forgive me from my experience and perspective. I agree with you 100% that even though I am willing to take a very difficult step for me to say that we have to disarm this man, that position in no way supports the disastrous economic policies that this administration is pursuing. In fact, I think that this is the height of your responsibility, and it would be far preferable to be more patient and more thoughtful and more willing to try to engender support with respect to Iraq. That is a decision that has to be made in the world community. Here at home, this administration is bankrupting our economy, forcing us to make the worst kinds of false choices between national and homeland security, which they don't fund, and between security and everything else, which they don't want to fund. So you have me 100% on that. And it is absolutely wrong. It is wrong that for the first time in American history, we have a president who is talking about leading this country to war and wanting to cut taxes at the same time. That is the height of cruel, arrogant irresponsibility.
We have to leave the other vote. I apologize.
Oh, sorry, guys.
We understand.
So I just wanted to
I heard you say that you were willing to give up the lives of innocent people in Iraq to find Saddam Hussein, so I just wanted to give you my full slip.
Well, you know what?
I'd like you to go to Baghdad.
I do not. I am the senator from New York. I will never put my people's security at risk.
You are.
You are.
You are. Admit it. You are. Stop living in denial. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's the song? Where's the song? We're putting our bodies on the line.
Justice for all, there's still time. Putting our bodies on the line. Every time you just